Imagine our sun, that constant source of life, finally burning out. What happens to us then? Everything we've ever known, vaporized. But what if we could harness a star's energy before that happens? Today, we're exploring the most ambitious megastructure ever conceived, the Dyson Sphere. This isn't science fiction. It's a look at the real physics of our future. What happens when the stars go out? The Dyson Sphere project. To part one, wait. Imagine right now, in this very moment, as you're reading these words, our sun is burning, giving energy, and we don't even notice it. But one day, that might not be so far away for the universe, yo. This giant lamp will go out. Now here's the question. When our sun dies, when all the stars die one by one, what happens to us? What happens to humanity? What happens to all the civilizations that might exist out there in the vastness of space? You know what's crazy? Scientists have been thinking about this for decades, and they've come up with some wild ideas. Ideas that sound like they're straight out of science fiction, but they're actually based on real physics, real mathematics, real possibilities. Today, we're going to talk about something that'll blow your mind. We're going to talk about the death of stars, the future of humanity, and one of the most ambitious projects ever conceived by the human mind, the Dyson Sphere. So buckle up, because we're about to go on a journey through time, through space, and through some of the most fascinating concepts in modern science. Let's start with the basics. And I promise I'll keep it simple. No complicated equations, no confusing jargon, just pure, understandable, mind-blowing science. Our sun, that bright yellow ball in the sky that we barely pay attention to, is actually a massive nuclear reactor. It's been burning for about 4.6 billion years, and it's got about 5 billion years left before it runs out of fuel. Now, you might be thinking, 5 billion years? That's a long time. Why should I care? And you'd be right. It is a long time. But here's the thing. The universe doesn't care about our human time scales. And if we want humanity to survive in the long run, we need to start thinking about these problems now. Because here's what's going to happen. When the sun starts running out of hydrogen, the fuel it uses for nuclear fusion, it's going to start burning helium. And when that happens, it's going to expand. It's going to become what we call a red giant. And it's going to swallow Mercury, Venus, and probably Earth too. Yeah, you heard that right. Our entire planet. Everything we've ever known. Every person who's ever lived. Every building. Every city. Every memory will be vaporized, turned into plasma, absorbed into the dying sun. But wait, it gets worse. Or more interesting. depending on how you look at it. After the sun finishes its red giant phase, after it's burned all its helium, it's gonna shed its outer layers, creating what we call a planetary nebula. One of those beautiful, colorful clouds you see in space photos. And what's left behind will be a white dwarf, a dense, hot, slowly cooling ember of what used to be our life-giving star. And this white dwarf, it's gonna sit there for trillions of years, slowly radiating away its remaining heat until eventually it becomes a black dwarf, a cold, dark, dead star floating through the emptiness of space. Now, this isn't just going to happen to our sun. This is going to happen to every star in the universe. Every single one. Some will die differently, some will explode as supernovas. Some will collapse into black holes. But they'll all die eventually. And here's where things get really interesting, and a bit scary if you think about it. The universe is about 13.8 billion years old. That sounds like a lot, but compared to how long the universe is going to exist, it's basically nothing. It's like the first second of a day that's going to last for billions upon billions of years. 4. Scientists estimate that star formation in the universe will continue for maybe another 100 trillion years. That's a 1 followed by 14 zeros. It's an incomprehensibly long time from our perspective. But eventually, the universe will run out of the gas and dust needed to make new stars. And when that happens, when the last star is born, the universe will enter what scientists call the degenerate era, a time when the only objects left will be dead stars of brown dwarfs, white dwarfs, neutron stars, and black holes. Can you imagine that? A universe with no stars, no light, no warmth, just darkness, eternal cold darkness. But here's the thing. Here's what makes humans special. We don't just accept our fate. We don't just sit around waiting for the end. We think, we plan, we innovate. We try to solve problems that won't even affect us for billions of years. And that's where Freeman Dyson comes in. Freeman Dyson was a British-American physicist, one of the greatest minds of the 20th century. And in 1960, he published a paper that would change how we think about the future of civilization, how we think about energy, and how we think about our place in the universe. Dyson asked a simple question. If a civilization wants to continue growing, continue expanding, continue using more and more energy, where does that energy come from? And he realized something that seems obvious once you hear it, but was revolutionary at the time. The answer is the stars themselves. You see, right now, We get our energy from all sorts of sources. We burn fossil fuels. We use nuclear power. We harness wind and solar. But all of it, is incredibly inefficient when you think about the big picture. Our sun, every single second, is converting 600 million tons of hydrogen into helium. And in the process, it's releasing an enormous amount of energy, more energy than humanity has used in its entire history. Every single second. But here's the kicker: of all that energy, of all that power being released by the sun, we only capture a tiny fraction of it here on Earth. We're talking about less than 1/billionth of the sun's total energy output. The rest, it just radiates out into space, wasted, gone, never to be used by anyone. Dyson thought, that's ridiculous. What if we could capture more of that energy? What if we could capture all of it? And that's when he came up with the idea of the Dyson Sphere. Now, before you start imagining a giant solid ball around the sun, let me explain what Dyson actually proposed, because it's a bit different from what you see in science fiction movies. Dyson suggested that an advanced civilization, a civilization way more advanced than us, would eventually build a swarm of structures around their star. These could be solar panels, habitats, factories, whatever they need, and these structures would capture the star's energy and use it for the civilization's purposes. He called this a Dyson Sphere. But it's not really a sphere in the traditional sense. It's more like a shell or a swarm of millions or billions of individual structures all orbiting the star. Think of it like this. Imagine taking apart a planet, maybe Jupiter, and using all that material to build millions of space stations. And then you arrange all these space stations in orbits around the sun, each one capturing sunlight and converting it to energy. And together, they form a kind of shell around the sun. This idea, this concept, is so wild, so ambitious, that it seems impossible. And maybe it is, for us, right now. But Dyson wasn't thinking about what we could do today. He was thinking about what we might be able to do in the future. Maybe thousands of years from now, maybe millions of them. And here's the really cool part. Dyson realized that if such a structure existed, we might be able to detect it, even from light years away. See, a Dyson Sphere would block a lot of the visible light from the star, but it would still emit energy, just in the form of infrared radiation, heat. So if we looked at the sky and saw a star that was giving off lots of infrared, but not much visible light, that could be a sign of a Dyson Sphere, a sign of an advanced alien civilization. This idea got scientists really excited, and they started looking. They started searching for these signatures in space. Oh, and while we haven't found any definitive Dyson spheres yet, the search continues. There have been some interesting candidates, though, like Tabby's star, officially known as KIC 8462852. This star showed really weird, dimming patterns. Patterns that couldn't be explained by planets or dust or any normal astronomical phenomenon. For a while, people thought, could this be it? Could this be a Dyson sphere under construction? And the internet went crazy. Everyone was talking about aliens building megastructures. But then, more observations came in and scientists found a more mundane explanation. It was probably just dust, or maybe a swarm of comets. Disappointing. I know. But that's how science works. You get excited about possibilities, then you test them, and sometimes, most of the time, the answer is less exciting than you hoped. But just because we haven't found a Dyson sphere doesn't mean they don't exist. And it doesn't mean we shouldn't think about building one ourselves someday. So let's talk about the practical side of this. How would you actually build a Dyson sphere? What would you need? What are the challenges? First, you need materials. A lot of materials, like an absurd amount of materials. Scientists have calculated that to build a Dyson sphere around the Sun, you'd need about the mass of Jupiter, maybe more, depending on the design. Now, Jupiter is big, really big. It's more than twice as massive as all the other planets in our solar system combined. So we're talking about dismantling an entire gas giant, harvesting all its material, and somehow processing it into useful construction materials. How do you do that? Well, that's where things get tricky. You can't just drill into Jupiter like it's a mine. It doesn't have a solid surface. It's mostly hydrogen and helium gases. Some scientists have proposed using what they call self-replicating machines, or von Neumann probes. These would be robots that can make copies of themselves, and each copy would help harvest materials and build more robots, and so on, exponentially growing your workforce. These machines would go to Jupiter or Mercury or any other planet you want to dismantle, and they'd start extracting materials, processing them, and building components of the Dyson sphere, all autonomously, without human intervention. Sounds like science fiction, right? But we're actually getting closer to this technology. We already have 3-dimensional printers. We already have automated factories. It's not crazy to think that in a few hundred years, we might have machines that can replicate themselves and build massive structures. in space. The second challenge is energy. Building a Dyson Sphere would require enormous amounts of energy. Ironically, you need a lot of energy to build the thing that's supposed to give you energy. But here's the clever part. You don't build the whole thing at once. You start small. Maybe you build a few solar collectors first. These give you some energy. Then you use that energy to build more collectors, which give you more energy, which you use to build even more collectors, and so on. It's a bootstrapping process. You start with what you have on, and you gradually build up, taking advantage of exponential growth. At first it's slow, but eventually it accelerates, and before you know it all, you've got a full Dyson Sphere. The third challenge, and this is a big one, is stability. If you build a solid shell around the sun, it would be gravitationally unstable. Any small perturbation, any tiny push, would cause it to drift toward the sun and eventually crash into it. This is one reason why Dyson himself didn't propose a solid shell. He proposed a swarm, individual structures in stable orbits, each one staying in its own orbit through orbital mechanics. No structural support needed. But even a swarm has challenges. You need to make sure the structures don't collide with each other. You need to coordinate their movements. You need to maintain their orbits. It's a massive, complex, ongoing engineering challenge. Some scientists have proposed variations on the Dyson Sphere concept, like the Dyson ring. Instead of surrounding the entire star, you just build a ring around it at Earth's orbital distance, or maybe closer. This would be easier to build than a full sphere, and it would still capture a huge amount of energy. Not all of it, but way more than we capture now. And it might be more stable, easier to maintain. Another variation is the Dyson Swarm, but with a specific configuration. You arrange the collectors in a pattern that maximizes energy capture while minimizing collision risks. Maybe you use different orbital planes, different distances, creating a three-dimensional network of energy collectors. There's also the Dyson Bubble. This would use solar sails instead of solid structures. These sails would be incredibly thin, maybe just a few atoms thick, and they'd be held in place by the pressure of the star's light, balancing gravity with radiation pressure. This design would be much lighter, requiring less material, but it would also be more delicate, more vulnerable to damage from micrometeorites or solar flares. Each of these designs has trade-offs, pros and cons, and we probably won't know which is best until we actually start building. Which, let's be honest, is probably a long way off. But let's imagine for a moment that we actually did it, that humanity, or our descendants, or our artificial intelligence successors, actually built a Dyson Sphere. What would that mean? What could we do with all that energy? The answer is almost anything you can imagine, or with that much energy, we could terraform planets. We could create artificial habitats in space. We could support a population of trillions, maybe quadrillions, of beings, all living comfortable lives with abundant resources. We could run massive computers so powerful they could simulate entire universes. Maybe we're already in one of those simulations, created by a civilization that built a Dyson Sphere billions of years ago. But that's a topic for another time. We could travel to other stars, not with slow chemical rockets, but with powerful laser propulsion systems, using the energy from our Dyson Sphere to push spacecraft to significant fractions of the speed of light. We could conduct experiments, massive physics experiments, that require enormous amounts of energy. Maybe we could create artificial black holes, study the nature of space and time, unlock the secrets of the universe. We could even, and this is wild, we could start building Dyson Spheres around other stars, spreading throughout the galaxy, creating a network of energy, harvesting structures, a true galactic civilization. And here's where we come back to the original question. What happens when the stars go out? Well, if we have Dyson Spheres, if we've mastered the art of harvesting stellar energy, then we have options. When our sun starts to die, we don't have to die with it. We could move. We could take our Dyson Sphere, or parts of it, and relocate to a younger star, one that still has billions of years of fuel left. Or we could get creative. We could use the energy we've harvested to keep ourselves alive in other ways. Maybe we upload our consciousnesses into computers, becoming digital beings that don't need warmth or light, just energy, which we could harvest from other sources, like rotating black holes or the cosmic microwave background radiation. Some scientists have even proposed that we could extend the life of stars themselves by adding more hydrogen to them, or by removing the helium ash that builds up in their cores, essentially giving them a refuel, a maintenance check, keeping them burning for longer than they naturally would. This idea is called stellar engineering. And while it sounds crazy, it's based on real physics. If you can manipulate matter on stellar scales, if you have the energy and technology of a Dyson Sphere, then, you could potentially keep a star alive, or at least extend its lifetime. But let's think even bigger. Let's think about the really long, long-term future. Trillions of years from now, when all the normal stars have died, when the universe is dark and cold. What then? Is that the end of civilization? The end of everything? Not necessarily. See, even in a universe without stars, there's still energy. It's just harder to get. And you have to be clever about it. Red dwarfs, the smallest, dimmest stars, they burn their fuel very slowly, so slowly that they can last for trillions of years. Way longer than stars like our sun. In fact, some red dwarfs could still be burning long after all the bigger stars have died. So one strategy is to cluster around red dwarfs. Build Dyson spheres around them and ride them out as long as possible, squeezing every last bit of energy from these tiny, long-lived stars. But eventually, even the red dwarfs will die. So what then? Well, there are other sources of energy in the universe. Brown dwarfs, which are like failed stars. Too small to sustain fusion. They're warm. They radiate heat. You could harvest that heat. White dwarfs, the remnants of stars like our sun. They're hot, cooling slowly over trillions of years. You could build structures around them, capturing their heat as they fade. Even black holes. Yeah, black holes. They might seem like the ultimate death, the ultimate end. But they're actually sources of energy through a process called Hawking radiation. Black holes slowly evaporate, releasing energy. And if you're patient enough, clever enough, you could harvest that energy. In fact, some scientists believe that black holes might be the ultimate power source for civilizations in the far future, when everything else is gone. When the universe is cold and dark, rotating black holes could provide energy for trillions upon trillions of years. There's a process called the Penrose process, where you can extract energy from a rotating black hole. You drop something into the ergosphere, the region just outside the event horizon. And if you do it right, you can extract energy from the black hole's rotation. It's complicated, and it requires incredibly advanced technology, but it's theoretically possible. And in a universe where all the stars are dead, it might be the only option. So even in the darkest timeline, even when the stars go out, there might still be hope. There might still be ways for civilization to survive to thrive to continue. But all of this, all these grand plans and ambitious projects, they require one thing. They require us to survive long enough to actually do them. And that's the real challenge, because right now, we're still stuck on one planet, dependent on one star, vulnerable to all sorts of existential threats, asteroid impacts, nuclear war, climate change, pandemics. artificial intelligence gone wrong. We need to become a multi-planetary species. We need to spread throughout the solar system and eventually throughout the galaxy. Because as long as we're all in one place, we're vulnerable. One catastrophe could wipe us all out. That's why projects like going to Mars matter. Why building space stations matters. Why developing new propulsion technologies matters. They're not just cool science fiction dreams. They're stepping stones. They're the first steps on a very long journey, a journey that might, if we're lucky, if we're smart, if we're careful, lead to us building Dyson spheres, traveling to other stars, and surviving the death of the universe itself. Now, you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but what about right now? What about the problems we have today? Why should we care about what happens trillions of years in the future? And that's a fair question, a really fair question. But here's the thing, thinking about these long-term problems, thinking about our place in the universe, our future as a species, it gives us perspective. It helps us see beyond our day-to-day struggles, beyond our petty conflicts, beyond our temporary problems, when you realize that we're all on this tiny rock, floating through an incomprehensibly vast universe, that we're all descendants of stardust, all connected by billions of years of cosmic history. It changes how you see things. Suddenly, a lot of the things we fight about, a lot of the things we worry about, they seem smaller, less important, not unimportant, but in perspective. And maybe, just maybe, if we can think about building Dyson spheres, about surviving for trillions of years, about spreading throughout the galaxy, maybe we can also figure out how to work together, how to solve our current problems, how to create a better world for everyone. Because here's the truth. We're not going to build a Dyson sphere if we destroy ourselves first. We're not going to travel to other stars if we can't even keep our own planet habitable. We're not going to create a galactic civilization if we can't get along with each other here on Earth. So in a way, thinking about these grand future projects, it's also about thinking about what we need to do now, today, to make sure we actually have a future. We need to invest in science, in education, in technology. We need to solve our energy problems, develop sustainable practices to protect our environment, because all of this, all of it, is practice for the bigger challenges ahead. The Dyson Sphere, it's not just a structure. It's a symbol of what humanity could become, what we could achieve if we set our minds to it, if we work together, if we think long term, It represents our refusal to accept limits, our determination to survive, our creativity and ingenuity in the face of cosmic challenges. And yeah, maybe we'll never build one. Maybe it's too ambitious, too difficult, too far beyond our capabilities. But the fact that we can imagine it, that we can think about it, that we can work towards it, that says something important about who we are as a species. We're dreamers, we're builders, we're explorers, we're problem solvers. And we don't give up easily. Throughout history, people have said things were impossible. Flying was impossible. Going to space was impossible. Landing on the moon was impossible. And yet, we did all of those things because we refused to accept the word impossible. The Dyson Sphere might seem impossible now, but who knows what we'll be capable of in 100 years, 1,000 years, 1,000,000 years? Our descendants, whatever form they take, human, transhuman, posthuman, artificial intelligence, they might look back at us and laugh at how primitive we were, how limited our thinking was, how small our dreams were bare. Or maybe they'll look back with respect, with gratitude, because we laid the groundwork, we took the first steps, we kept the dream alive, even when it seemed impossible, even when it seemed pointless, even when we knew we'd never live to see it. That's what makes us special. That's what makes us human. We plant trees we'll never sit under. We build cathedrals we'll never see completed. We start journeys we'll never finish because we believe in something bigger than ourselves. Something that will outlast us, something that will continue after we're gone. The Dyson Sphere is our cathedral, our tree, our journey all. And even if we never complete it, even if it remains forever a dream, it's a dream worth having, a dream worth working towards, a dream that makes us better, that pushes us to excel, that drives us forward. So when you look up at the stars tonight, when you see the sun rise tomorrow morning, remember, that light, that energy, it's not just warming your skin, it's not just brightening your day. It's a promise, a possibility, a challenge. It's asking you, what will you do with this energy? How will you use this light? What will you build? What will you create? What will you become? And maybe, just maybe, somewhere out there, on a planet orbiting a distant star, another civilization is asking themselves the same questions. Maybe they've already built their Dyson Sphere. Maybe they're watching us, waiting to see if we'll join them, waiting to see if we'll take our place among the stars. Or maybe we're alone. Maybe we're the first, the only ones, and it's up to us, only us, to light up this dark universe, to fill it with life, with intelligence, with purpose. Either way, the challenge is the same: survive, grow, expand, explore, build, dream, and never, never give up. Let me tell you something else that's fascinating about the whole Dyson Sphere concept. It's not just about the engineering, it's about the economics, the politics, the social implications of such a massive undertaking. Think about it. Building a Dyson Sphere would be the largest construction project in human history, by far. It would make the pyramids look like sandcastles. It would make the International Space Station look like a toy. It would require resources, coordination, and effort on a scale we've never even attempted of. Who would organize such a project? Would it be governments? Corporations? Some kind of global or interplanetary authority? Would it be voluntary or mandatory? Would people be excited about it, or would they resist? These are questions we don't have answers to, because we've never faced anything like this before. But they're important questions to think about, because they reveal something about human nature, about how we organize ourselves, about what motivates us. Some people imagine that building a Dyson Sphere would require a unified world government, a single authority that could marshal all of humanity's resources toward this common goal. And maybe that's true. Maybe we can't do something this big unless we're all working together. But others point out that some of humanity's greatest achievements came from competition, from multiple groups trying to outdo each other. Or think about the space race between the United States and the Soviet Union. That competition drove innovation, pushed boundaries, got us to the moon faster than cooperation might have. So maybe the path to a Dyson Sphere isn't through unity, but through competition, multiple nations or corporations racing to build their own Dyson structures. Each one trying to capture more solar energy than the others, or maybe it's a mix of both, cooperation and competition. The working together on the big picture while competing on the details. Sharing knowledge while guarding secrets. It's messy. It's complicated. But that's how humans work. We're not simple creatures. We don't fit into neat categories. And then there's the question of who benefits if we build a Dyson Sphere, if we capture all that energy. Who gets to use it? Is it shared equally among all of humanity? Or does it go to whoever built it, whoever invested in it, whoever took the risk? These are not easy questions, and they don't have obvious answers. But they're the kind of questions we'll need to answer if we're serious about building a Dyson Sphere, or any other megastructure for that matter. Because technology, engineering, physics, Those are the easy parts. Well, not easy, but at least they're straightforward. You have a problem, you apply science, you find a solution. But people, society, politics, those are harder because they're unpredictable, because they involve emotions, values, beliefs, things that don't follow logical rules. Things that can't be calculated with equations. And yet, if we're going to build a Dyson Sphere, we need to figure this stuff out. We need to find ways to work together, to share resources, to compromise, to trust each other because no single person, no single company, no single country can build a Dyson Sphere alone. It's just too big, too complex, too ambitious. It requires all of us working together for a common goal. And maybe that's the real value of the Dyson Sphere. Not the energy it would provide, but the unity it would require. The cooperation it would demand, the shared purpose it would give us. Maybe the journey toward building a Dyson Sphere, the process of learning to work together on such a massive scale. Maybe that's more important than the structure itself. Because if we can do that, if we can unite humanity around a common goal, if we can set aside our differences and work together, then there's nothing we can't accomplish, nothing we can't achieve, nothing we can't become. Now let's talk about some of the really wild variations on the Dyson Sphere concept that scientists have proposed over the years. There's the Shkadov thruster, named after the Russian physicist Leonid Shkadov. This is basically a Dyson Sphere that's been modified to turn the star itself into a giant rocket engine. The idea is simple. Well, simple in concept. You build a huge mirror, like really huge, and you position it on one side of the star. This mirror reflects the star's light back toward it on one side, creating an imbalance in the radiation pressure, and this imbalance pushes the star very slowly in the opposite direction. It would take millions of years to notice any effect of. But over time, you could actually steer the star, move it to a different location in the galaxy, take it away from dangerous regions, move it closer to other resources and whatever you need. Can you imagine that? Being able to move your star like it's a car. That's the kind of power a Dyson Sphere level civilization would have. Then there's the idea of a matryoshka brain. This is named after those Russian nesting dolls, or where you have dolls inside dolls inside dolls. A matryoshka brain would be a Dyson Sphere, but instead of just capturing energy, it would be a giant computer, or rather, a series of nested computers, each one using the waste heat from the previous layer. The innermost layer would be closest to the star. capturing the most energy, doing the most computing, and generating heat as a byproduct. Then the next layer would use that heat to do more computing, generating its own heat, which the next layer would use all, and so on. This design maximizes the computational power you can get from a star, and scientists have calculated that a matryoshka brain could be billions or trillions of times more powerful than all the computers on Earth combined. Maybe more? What would you do with that much computing power? You could simulate entire universes, run countless experiments, solve problems that are impossible for us to even conceptualize. Maybe you could create artificial consciousness, digital beings living in simulated worlds, entire civilizations existing as software. Some philosophers have suggested that we might already be living in such a simulation, created by some advanced civilization with a matryoshka brain. It's called the simulation hypothesis, and while it sounds crazy, it's actually taken seriously by some scientists and philosophers. Then there's the idea of a stellar engine. This is different from the Kardashev thruster. It's a more general concept. Any device that uses a star's energy to do work on a massive scale. Some designs propose using the star's energy to accelerate particles to near light speed, creating a beam that could be used for propulsion, or for communication, or even as a weapon. Though let's hope nobody uses it for that. Other designs suggest using the star's energy to power massive industrial processes, maybe to synthesize new elements that don't exist naturally, or to manipulate space, time itself, creating wormholes or warp drives or other exotic phenomena. The possibilities are endless, limited only by the laws of physics and our imagination. And speaking of imagination, let's talk about what life might be like for people living in or around a Dyson Sphere. First, there's the question of where people would live. Would they live on the Dyson Sphere structures themselves? Or would they live on planets orbiting inside the sphere? Or maybe they'd live in artificial habitats, giant rotating cylinders or spheres that create artificial gravity. Each option has its advantages. Living on the Dyson structures themselves would give you direct access to the energy, but you'd need to create artificial gravity somehow. Ooh. Maybe by rotating the structures, or by using some future technology we haven't invented yet. Living on planets inside the sphere could be more comfortable, more familiar, but planets are limited in size, and you can only fit so many people on a planet, even if you build arcologies and sky cities. Artificial habitats offer a middle ground. You can build as many as you need, make them any size you want, customize them for different purposes or different groups of people. but they're more vulnerable, more dependent on technology. If something goes wrong, if the rotation fails or the life support breaks down, everyone dies. Then there's the question of what the sky would look like, or if you're living inside a Dyson Sphere, you wouldn't see stars. You'd see the other structures of the sphere, millions or billions of them, all glowing with reflected starlight. It might be beautiful, like living inside a giant disco ball, or it might be disorienting, confusing, claustrophobic, depending on how it's designed and how dense the structures are. Some people might love it. The constant reminder that you're part of something bigger, something cosmic, something beyond the ordinary human experience. Others might hate it, might long for the open sky or the darkness of space. The distant stars might feel trapped, confined, cut off from the wider universe. And what about time? How would people keep track of days and years inside a Dyson Sphere? There'd be no sunrise or sunset, no seasons, no natural cycles to mark the passage of time. You'd have to create artificial cycles, program lights to brighten and dim on a regular schedule, simulate seasons if you want them. Or maybe you'd abandon the concept of days and years altogether. Create new ways of marking time based on productivity or social events or something we haven't thought yet. Communication would be interesting too. Inside a Dyson Sphere, you could potentially have instant communication anywhere because you're all relatively close together. No light year delays like you'd have between star systems, but with millions or billions of habitats or billions or trillions of people, the sheer volume of communication could be overwhelming. You'd need incredibly sophisticated networks or artificial intelligence to manage the traffic, protocols to prevent chaos. And what about culture? Would everyone inside a Dyson Sphere share the same culture? Or would different habitats develop their own customs, languages, beliefs? Probably the latter. Humans are too diverse, too creative, too independent to all think and act the same way. Even inside a single structure, there'd be variety, differences, subcultures and countercultures, but there might also be a shared identity, a sense of being part of the Dyson Sphere, civilization. The way people today might identify with their city or country, while also having their own individual identity. Education would be crucial in a civilization that advanced that complex. You'd need incredibly sophisticated educational systems, not just to teach people facts and skills, but to help them understand their place in this vast structure, to give them purpose, meaning, direction. Maybe everyone would learn from the same artificial intelligence tutors. customized to each individual's learning style and interests. Or maybe there'd be physical schools, places where people gather to learn together, to socialize, to form bonds. Healthcare would be interesting too. With all that energy, all that technology, maybe disease and aging would be things of the past. Maybe everyone would live for hundreds or thousands of years, healthy and strong the entire time. Or maybe not. Maybe there'd be new problems, new diseases, conditions we can't even imagine now. The price of living in such an artificial environment. And what about work? What would people do all day? If energy is abundant, if machines do most of the labor, what's left for humans? Maybe art, creativity, exploration, research, things that machines can't do as well. Things that require the human touch, the human perspective. Or maybe people would spend their time in virtual reality, living out fantasies, exploring simulated worlds, having experiences that are impossible in the real world. Or maybe they dedicate themselves to personal growth, meditation, philosophy, spiritual pursuits, trying to understand themselves and the universe on a deeper level. The possibilities are endless, and probably different people would choose different paths. Some working, some playing, some seeking all, some creating a diverse ecosystem of human activity. But underlying all of this, all these questions about daily life, there'd be a fundamental question. A question that every person living in a Dyson Sphere would have to answer for themselves. The possibilities are endless, and probably different people would choose different paths. Some working, some playing, some seeking, some creating, a diverse ecosystem of human activity. But underlying all of this, all these questions about daily life, there'd be a fundamental question, a question that every person living in a Dyson Sphere would have to answer for themselves. What's the point? Why are we doing this? What's the purpose of capturing all this energy, building this massive structure, supporting all these people? Is it just survival? When just staying alive as long as possible? That seems insufficient, hollow. There has to be more to it than that. Is it growth, expansion, the drive to become more, to achieve more, to reach further? That's more satisfying, more in line with human nature. But growth for what? To what end? Is it knowledge, understanding, the desire to learn everything there? Is to know about the universe, to answer every question, to solve every mystery? That's noble. But is it enough to sustain a civilization for millions of years? Or is it something else? Something we can't articulate, can't put into words? A deep existential need to create, to build, to leave our mark on the cosmos. Maybe it's all of these things. Maybe different people have different answers. And that's okay. Maybe the diversity of purpose is what keeps a civilization alive. What prevents stagnation? What drives progress? These are the kinds of questions that a Dyson Sphere civilization would grapple with, not just in the beginning, but constantly, forever. Because as long as there are thinking beings, there will be questions about meaning, purpose, value, and maybe that's the most human thing about the Dyson Sphere. Not the engineering, not the energy capture, but the fact that even with all that power, all that technology, all that capability, we'd still be asking the same fundamental questions we ask now. Who are we? Why are we here? What should we do with our lives? The Dyson Sphere doesn't answer those questions. It just gives us more tools, more options, more possibilities. But the questions remain eternal, universal, fundamentally human. And you know what? That's beautiful in a way. That's what makes this whole thing worthwhile. Not the destination, but the journey. Not the answers, but the questions themselves. Let me tell you about some of the really practical challenges we'd face in building a Dyson Sphere. Because it's easy to talk about the big picture, the philosophy, the vision. But when you get down to the nitty-gritty details, that's where things get really interesting. First, let's talk about navigation. Imagine you're living inside a Dyson Sphere, or on one of the millions of components that make up the swarm. How do you get from one place to another? You can't just point your spaceship at a destination and fly there, because everything is moving or orbiting. The whole structure is dynamic, constantly changing. You need incredibly sophisticated navigation systems, real-time tracking of millions of objects, predictive algorithms that can calculate safe routes through this cosmic maze. And it's not just about avoiding collisions, though that's important. It's about efficiency, about finding the fastest route, the lowest energy path, the most convenient connection, like a cosmic highway system, but in 3 dimensions, with everything constantly moving. Some scientists have proposed using something called orbital resonances, where different components of the Dyson Sphere are placed in orbits that have mathematical relationships to each other, so they create predictable patterns, stable configurations, natural highways, and lanes for traffic. Others suggest we'd need a central traffic control system, maybe run by artificial intelligence, that monitors everything, coordinates all movements, assigns routes, prevents accidents, like air traffic control, but on a stellar scale. Then there's the question of propulsion. How do the individual components of a Dyson Sphere maintain their orbits? How do they adjust their positions when needed? Solar sails are one option. These are large, reflective surfaces that use the pressure of sunlight to push spacecraft. They don't need fuel, they just need light, which is abundant near a star, perfect for a Dyson Sphere. But solar sails are slow, and they only work in certain directions, away from the star. So you'd need other systems too, maybe ion drives, which are very efficient, very precise, but also slow. Or maybe something we haven't invented yet, some new form of propulsion that's perfect for this application. Communication is another huge challenge. How do you coordinate millions or billions of separate structures? How do you keep everyone informed? How do you share data, make decisions, respond to emergencies? Light speed is fast, although, but it's not instant. And in a Dyson Sphere, even though everything is relatively close together, there are still light delay issues. If something happens on one side of the sphere, it takes minutes for the light to reach the other side. So you can't have real-time communication across the whole structure. You'd need local networks, regional hubs, hierarchical systems where information flows up and down through layers of organization, and you'd need redundancy, backup systems, ways to keep functioning even if parts of the network fail. Some engineers have proposed using laser communication, which is faster than radio, more focused, more efficient. You could create a web of laser links connecting all the components. A cosmic internet running on light itself. Or maybe we'd use quantum entanglement. If we can figure out how to make it work for communication. Though current physics says we can't. But maybe future physics will find a way. Who knows? Now let's talk about defense. Because a Dyson Sphere, as impressive as it is also vulnerable. It's spread out, exposed, fragile in some ways. Asteroids and comets are a constant threat. There are millions of them in any star system. And without planets to shield us, without Jupiter's gravity to deflect them, they could smash into our Dyson Sphere components, causing damage, destroying habitats, killing people. So we'd need detection systems, telescopes watching for incoming threats, computers calculating trajectories, and we'd need response systems, ways to deflect or destroy dangerous objects before they hit us. Maybe we'd use lasers, powerful beams that can vaporize small asteroids or change their course by heating one side. Or maybe we'd use missiles, rockets that intercept the asteroids and blow them up or push them away. Or maybe gravity tractors, spacecraft that use their own gravity to slowly pull asteroids off course. And it's not just natural threats we'd need to worry about. There's also the possibility of sabotage, terrorism, war between different factions or habitats within the Dyson Sphere, or with external enemies if they exist. A Dyson Sphere is a military strategist's nightmare because there are so many potential targets, so many vulnerabilities. You can't protect everything. You have to prioritize, decide what's critical and what's expendable, and hope you made the right choices. Some designs include armored sections, fortified habitats that can withstand attacks, or sacrificial components, parts of the sphere that are designed to be destroyed, to absorb damage while protecting more important areas. Others propose a distributed architecture, where no single component is critical, where the loss of any one piece doesn't compromise the whole system, like a starfish that can regrow lost arms. A Dyson Sphere that can repair itself after damage. Maintenance is another massive issue. Because nothing lasts forever, everything breaks down eventually, wears out, degrades, and in the harsh environment of space, with radiation, micrometeorites, thermal cycling, things break down fast. You'd need an army of repair robots, autonomous machines that patrol the sphere, looking for problems, fixing them before they become critical, replacing worn parts, upgrading old systems, never resting, never stopping. And these robots would need to be smart, really smart, able to diagnose problems, find solutions, improvise when necessary, because you can't have human technicians everywhere. There are too many components, too much space to cover. Some engineers envision swarms of tiny robots, like mechanical bees, each one simple and disposable. But working together, they can accomplish complex repairs. They can build new structures, dismantle old ones, reshape the sphere as needed. Others think we'll have larger, more sophisticated robots, maybe even conscious ones, artificial intelligences that understand their purpose, take pride in their work, form relationships with each other and with human operators. The economics of a Dyson Sphere are fascinating too, because this is not just an engineering project, it's an economic transformation, a complete restructuring of how civilization produces, distributes, and consumes resources with abundant energy, truly abundant energy. Many of our current economic problems just disappear. Scarcity of energy has driven so much of human history, or wars, conflicts, inequalities. But with a Dyson Sphere, energy is basically free, unlimited, available to everyone. But that doesn't mean everything is free. There are still other resources that matter: materials, time, space, attention, creativity, And these things would still have value, still need to be allocated somehow. Maybe we'd have a post-scarcity economy where basic needs are met for everyone, where people work because they want to, because they find meaning in it, not because they need to survive, where the focus shifts from making a living to making a life. Or maybe we'd have new forms of scarcity, new things to compete over, access to the best habitats, the most interesting research projects, the most influential positions, status, recognition, purpose, meaning. Humans are competitive creatures. We always find something to compete about, even in abundance. Maybe especially in abundance. When survival is guaranteed, we start caring about other things, higher level needs, self-actualization, legacy, impact. The social structure of a Dyson Sphere civilization would be complex, to say the least. You'd have billions or trillions of people living in millions of separate habitats, each with its own culture, governance, values. How do you maintain unity? How do you prevent fragmentation? How do you balance local autonomy with global coordination? Maybe you'd have a federal system, where each habitat governs itself, makes its own laws, sets its own policies, but contributes to a central authority that handles sphere-wide issues. Defense, infrastructure, navigation, resource allocation. Or maybe you'd have competing systems, different habitats trying different approaches, some democratic, some autocratic, some based on AI governance, some on direct democracy, and people could move between them, vote with their feet, choose the system that works best for them. This could lead to a kind of evolutionary process where successful systems grow, attract more people, reproduce their model, while unsuccessful systems shrink, adapt, or die out. Social Darwinism on a cosmic scale. But it could also lead to conflict, to war, to the fragmentation of the sphere into hostile factions. That's the dark side of diversity, the risk of allowing too much variation, too much independence. Finding the right balance would be crucial. Enough unity to maintain the sphere, but enough diversity to allow innovation, experimentation, growth. It's a delicate equilibrium, and maintaining it would require constant attention, constant adjustment, constant wisdom. Education in a Dyson Sphere civilization would be fascinating, because with that much diversity, that many different cultures and perspectives, what do you teach? What counts as knowledge? What should everyone learn? Maybe there'd be a core curriculum, things everyone needs to know, the physics of the sphere, the history of how we got here, the values we share as a civilization, and then specialized tracks where people pursue their interests, their passions, their unique paths. Or maybe education would be completely individualized, customized by AI tutors who understand each student perfectly, who can adapt to their learning style, their pace, their interests, creating a unique educational journey for every person. The possibilities are endless, and maybe that's the point. Maybe in a Dyson Sphere civilization, with abundant resources and diverse perspectives, we'd finally figure out how to educate people properly, how to develop their full potential, how to help everyone become the best version of themselves. Art and culture would flourish in ways we can barely imagine. With so much energy, so much space, so much diversity, artists would have unlimited possibilities, unlimited materials, unlimited canvas. Imagine sculptures the size of planets, paintings that span thousands of kilometers, musical performances that involve millions of participants, literature that takes lifetimes to read, virtual realities indistinguishable from the physical world. And with so many different cultures, so many perspectives, the cross-pollination of ideas would be incredible. Fusion genres we can't even conceive of, art forms that don't exist yet, expressions of the human experience that transcend our current limitations. Maybe we'd develop new senses, new ways of perceiving reality through technology or genetic modification or neural interfaces, and artists would create works for these new senses, experiences that are literally unimaginable to us now. The spiritual and philosophical implications of living in a Dyson Sphere would be profound. How would it change our relationship with nature, with the cosmos, with each other, with ourselves? Living in an artificial structure, completely dependent on technology, would we lose our connection to the natural world? Would we become alienated, disconnected, lost? Or would we gain a new appreciation, a deeper understanding, seeing ourselves as part of nature, not separate from it, creators and creations at the same time, shapers and shaped by the cosmos? Some people might develop new religions, new philosophies, centered around the sphere, worshiping it as a kind of deity, or seeing it as a manifestation of cosmic purpose, humanity's destiny made manifest. Others might reject it, long for the old ways, create nature preserves within the sphere, islands of wilderness, pockets of the earth. That was keeping alive the memory of where we came from. And maybe that's healthy. Maybe we need both. The embrace of the new and the remembrance of the old, the forward, looking and the nostalgic, the technological and the natural, in balance, in harmony, in dialogue,